Hey guys, New Spirituality, day number 3. Are you hanging in there? Has this just totally blown your mind, or does it make sense to you? Are you walking along with it and doing well? It's an interesting conversation, and it's something that's prevalent. Now today, you have an assignment when you finish the video, and there's another video that I'm asking you to read or to watch. There's an assignment, a journal assignment for you. And what I'm asking you to do is think about the roots of New Spirituality in our country, in our nation. And what do you think makes it so attractive today? Okay? What do you think makes New Spirituality so prevalent in our world today? Why is it a topic of conversation? Now, if you're looking at your notes, there are a few people that I introduce you to. I'm going to show you some videos that come from these people, or from a few of them anyway. But just to name a few, Deepak Chopra is one. Eckhart Tolle is a popular new spiritualist speaker. He was popularized after going on the Oprah Winfrey Show several years ago. Shirley MacLaine is an actress, a longtime actress that was noted for her dabbling in New Spirituality. So you'll see that in your book, but you'll also see some text of that or some ideas of that if you do some other research and some other writings. Obviously, Oprah. Oprah's an interesting story. If you can find how her early Christian faith was impacted by some things that she heard. I would rather you hear her tell the story than me tell the story, but to see where she is today and where she's come from today. There's a book that was released in 2006 called The Secret, that is New Spirituality, and it popularized it a lot at that point when it was released. I think there's a movie that goes along with that as well. So you can look at those, and we'll talk some more about them as we go along, and we'll get there. Okay. Now, one of the ideas that your book points out is the idea of transcendentalism. What in the world does that mean? Well, the idea of transcendental is to rise above, something that transcends ideas that are preconceived. And so transcendentalism, when it became popular, rejected God and the Bible. Okay, the idea, I think your book says, an idea for a search for a deeper spiritual experience that comes from within. And so it's going to reject the idea of God and the Bible as we know it. It's going to reject this idea of sin nature. It's going to say that because it comes from within, we are inherently good, and therefore we need to find goodness and truth and godhood inside of us. Okay? It's going to deny organized religion and political factors and things like that, because those are corrupting factors according to transcendentalism. So it's an inside search. Now we'll talk a little bit more about how things such as yoga or meditation become a part of that and are very prevalent in the idea of New Spirituality. But we'll talk about that a little more in the details. But transcendentalism came about in the 1800s. There's some popular authors you may hear in other classes: Ralph Waldo Emerson, Emily Dickinson, things like that. Others that were transcendentalists. Okay, so let's talk about this question: where does New Spirituality come from? Where does transcendentalism years ago bring about this concept of New Spirituality for us today? How does it get here? Well, it begins with really a dissatisfaction with organized religion. Now, you're going to write about how that impacts our society today, how it caused a rise of New Age, New Spiritual ideas in the 60s and 70s, and how it became so prevalent today. But think about that. A dissatisfaction with organized religion. We don't want the chains of organized religion to bind us. We want freedom from that. think about what was America like in the 1950s or 60s, going into the 70s, that brought about that change. How many of you have ever watched Leave It to Beaver, the old family sitcom? It was still running when I was a kid, and I used to love watching that show. But it presents this this clean cut family that have everything together. Dad goes off to work every day. Mom is a housewife, and it's just this seemingly perfect family relationship with some mischievous sons and so forth and so on. But when you watch Leave It to Beaver, that's kind of the mentality that our American culture was known for in many ways back in that time. Or the Andy Griffith Show. You see some of the purity that's presented there, although there's always a problem and there's always a lie and there's always trouble. Good versus evil was a part of that. That churched, clean culture that America was known for became, there's always been a dissatisfaction of some sorts, but in the 50s and 60s, going to 60s and 70s, there's this dissatisfaction that overflows and spills into society, and it brings about this idea of new spirituality. Okay, and so in the 60s, this new thought morphed into a syncretistic worldview. We've already talked about that, bringing all these ideas together and forming this great idea. Now, you've already read about the 4 basic teachings of new spirituality. We're going to talk about those a little more in depth next week. But I just encourage you, watch the video I show you. Look at the questions that I ask you as you watch the video, and some commentary there. And let's see if we can dive a little bit deeper. I do hope that you guys will meet with me. For those of you that have questions, you want to know more about new spirituality or talk about what you're seeing, I'll be on Google Meets from 1 to 2 on Tuesday and Friday afternoons. So if you're watching this on Friday morning, I'll be on there a little later today, and we can participate together. Okay? Hope you've had a good week. Hope all is well, and look forward to hearing from you about what you're learning this week. All right? I love you guys.